Hi, everyone. It's Barb Wallace here with the next episode of Barb's Book Reviews. Um, you ever have an idea that you thought sounded really fantastic till you start doing it? That's kind of how I'm feeling about this video thing. So please be patient with me. It is definitely a work in progress. I read a ton of books in June. I have decided because I read so many, I'm only going to give you 4 reviews today. 2 fiction, 2 nonfiction. And I'm going to try and be a little more succinct than I was last time. I think all 4 of these are definitely worth your reading. They will make great beach reads this summer. So first up, we have The Wedding Veil by Christy Woodson Harvey. We've featured this on Off the Shelf earlier this month, so some of you have already heard my thoughts. This book came recommended by Emily York of The Books Distiller. I'm really glad she recommended it. I would call it a women's fiction, historical fiction hybrid. You have 2 timelines. You have a present day story involving a young bride-to-be and her grandmother, which to me read very much like a contemporary small town romance. Think Robin Carr's Virgin River or Donna Allward's Darling Vermont series. Then you have the historical timeline, which tells the story of Edith Vanderbilt, her daughter Cornelia, and their struggles to keep the Biltmore estate alive. Harvey links the 2 timelines through the famed Vanderbilt wedding veil, which Julia's family may or may not have in possession. And this is kind of a cool fact. In real life, the wedding veil is missing. So there's a replica at Biltmore Estate, but no one knows what happened to the original. So I thought it was really cool that Harvey tied this in. In both timelines, the women are doing are struggling to find their purpose and questioning whether they can take a second chance on love. I loved the historical portion of this novel. The mark of a good historical fiction is if you find yourself Googling afterwards, and I did. I immediately Googled Cornelia and Edith Vanderbilt. Edith was the most amazing woman. She dedicated her entire life to preserving her husband's legacy. And Cornelia was very conflicted, and Harvey does a fantastic job of showing how difficult it was to grow up in the fishbowl that was the Vanderbilt family. I confess I wasn't as crazy about the contemporary storyline. That's more because I don't really groove on small town romances. Even though my best friend writes them, they're not really my cup of tea. So it wasn't really the book, it was me. I will give Harvey a lot of points because she features a love story featuring senior citizens in assisted living, and you don't see that enough. So I like that. If I did like anything in the contemporary romance, it was that. So overall, I would say the book is sweet. It's an enjoyable story about love, family, and finding yourself. If you're a fan of Robin Carr or Mary Alice Monroe, or anybody like that, you will love this book. It is the perfect poolside read. So I recommend you get it. Our next book is Madam by Debbie Applegate. This is a nonfiction book. I have always had a fascination with the 1920s. So I knew the minute I saw this book on the shelves over the summer that I was going to get it. I mean, who does not want to read about prohibition, flappers, gangsters, crime, sex? This book had everything. Madam is the story of Polly Adler, who was New York's most famous madam of the 1920s. Anyone who was anyone came through her brothel doors. We are talking gangsters like Dutch Schultz, politicians like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, athletes, celebrities, members of Society's 400, everyone. But the book is more than a biography. It's the Polly's story, which starts with her coming over as an immigrant at age 9, is the story of the 1920s. She rises and falls with the decade, and you've got everything in it. You've got police corruption, you've got political corruption, you got the gang wars, scandals, drugs, murder. If it happened in New York City and it was prominent, then you can guarantee Polly was in the middle of it. History buffs will love this book. They'll also love my third recommendation, which is A History of the World in 6 Glasses. I got this book on a whim. I wasn't really sure if I was going to like it or not. I grabbed it right before a road trip. It's really cool. It highlights 6 signature beverages: beer, wine, alcohol, coffee, tea, and Coca-Cola. What Standish found was that not only do these drinks represent specific times in history, but their popularity and development changed history. It's filled with these really cool trivia facts and I'm a trivia nut, so I loved it. Like, did you know coffee was responsible for the Age of Enlightenment? That before they discovered coffee, people generally drank wine and ale all day. So coffee literally sobered up the world. And as a result, they could all think more clearly. And people like Isaac Newton were finally able to develop their theories. I mean, how cool is that? It's full of this kind of information. I had no idea the impact that one drink could make on a world, but Standish does a terrific job taking it from those drinks right around to the beginning again, which is water in the last chapter, which also is having a great impact on the world. Again, history buffs, you will find this super interesting. Lest you think I only read history books, which I did do a lot of this month, I also read The Lost Summers of Newport by Beatrice Williams, Lauren Willig, and Karen White, also known as Team W. I love these authors. They are wonderful people. If you ever get a chance to meet them in person, they are the sweetest, nicest people you would like to meet. Their books are fantastic, which is why it bums me out to say that this book was kind of meh. The premise is really intriguing. It's about a reality show redoing a crumbling Newport mansion, and in doing so, threatens to unearth several dark family secrets. And what the book does is weaves that storyline in with past storylines from the Gilded Age and from mid-century, and it focuses on three heroines: Ellen, Lucky, and Andy. There's nothing really wrong with the stories. And again, these writers are great, so there's nothing really wrong with the writing. It's just that they sort of fell flat for me. I think the problem is that these writers are very nuanced writers, and they require more pages for them to get really into their characters. I don't think they had enough space to do to cater to their strengths. So I'm going to give it a 3-star. Although I will say a 3-star book by Team W is head and shoulders above any of the other books out there. So there you have it. 2 nonfiction, 2 fiction books that should give you plenty of reading for the summer to sit by the pool. It is Canada Day for a lot of my Canadian friends. It's also 4th of July weekend here in the United States. I don't know about where you are, but the weather is supposed to be fantastic here. It's been a very long week for many of us. So please get outside, enjoy the sunshine, and grab a book and have a good time. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next month. Bye-bye.